Then we have Return from Bohemia. Now here, Wood intended his painting to be a cover of his memoir, The Return from Bohemia, of which he only completed one chapter and of course never publishes it. The viewer here is confronted with a scene that includes the artist himself staring at us stonily, this again very serious image as we've seen with his other portraits, with all of his other portraits, very deadpan, very strict, very similar to what we've seen. And then behind him we see a number of onlookers who are pressing in, watching in wonder or maybe in meditation of what he's producing. And behind them we see this giant barn. So what is intended? Well, it could be some sort of self-portrait as analog to the autobiography that he's writing. It ended up being a very strange and ambivalent scene about how he thought of himself as an artist. We could see him sort of supporting his family or as the future of his family's legacy. The sense that he has all these generations behind him looking over as he creates these images, as if he was single-handedly responsible for their memory in the future. So this is quite literally a rejection of European modernism, a rejection of the belief that to be a legitimate painter, he had to be a Parisian, an American expat. So for him, the idea of a return from Bohemia is about a sort of homecoming, a recognition of the importance of home and of region. But that it was a closing down of that part of his life. Sort of this idea that he has to come back and support his family, and to do so he's going to paint, and he's not going to do so in these new, quote-unquote, new Parisian styles, futurism, cubism, etc., but instead he's going to do so in this American regionalism for which he's going to be known. So there's a lot of weight here, there's a lot of possible interpretation, but there's a couple of things I want to point out. This looks an awful lot like that depiction of his mother with the plant, and you could imagine these as family members, maybe his dad, maybe a sibling, a couple of children, probably a sibling's children, because Grant Wood will never have children for various reasons. So we get this sense of all of this weight, all bearing down on his painting. Even the barn seems to be bearing down. And the interesting thing is, when the barn is added as one of these burdens, we get the idea that his painting itself is actually supporting everything else. His painting is almost supporting the farm. And you could imagine that situation, especially during the Great Depression, that this extra income from the painting is all that's keeping that farm going. So it's really interesting when we look into it.